Demand refers to the quantity of a good or service consumers are willing to purchase at various prices during a specific period in time. Hearing this definition might be confusing at first, but what's important to take away from it is the relationship between price and quantity demanded. Let's take a look at an example of demand in the market. Joe wants to purchase some apples, but the quantity of apples he will want to purchase is dependent on the price. We often represent this relationship between price and quantity demanded with the price-quantity diagram, which is usually drawn like this. At the price of $5 per apple, Joe will want to buy 5 apples. However, if the price is only $4 per apple, Joe will want to buy 6 apples. And if the price of apples is $6 per apple, he will want to buy 4 apples. Now we can see the trend called the law of demand, which states that there is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. In other words, if the price is high, the quantity demanded is low, and if the price is low, the quantity demanded is high. We can represent Joe's quantity demanded for each price like this. If we connect all these dots, we get what's called the demand curve. The demand curve is a graphical representation between the quantity demanded and the price. Every point on this graph will tell you exactly how much Joe will want to purchase given the price at that point. Now let's take a look at supply. Supply refers to the quantity of goods or services that producers are willing to sell at various prices during a period in time. Again, this definition might be hard to conceptualize if it's your first time seeing it, but what's important to take away is the relationship between the price and quantity supplied. Let's again look at an example. Jenny owns an apple tree. She can sell the apples from her apple tree, but how many apples she is willing to sell depends on the price. If she can sell her apples for $5 per apple, she will want to sell 5 apples. If the price is 6, she will want to sell 6 apples, and if the price is 4, she will want to sell 4 apples, and so on. This relationship between the price and quantity supplied we call the law of supply, which states that when the price of a good or service increases, the quantity supplied of that good or service also increases. The blue curve we get from connecting these dots is called the supply curve, and it is a graphical representation between the price and quantity supplied. When prices are low, there is a low quantity supplied, and when prices are high, there is a high quantity supplied. If we put supply and demand together, we get a market. Normally, when we look at supply and demand together like this, we approximate the supply and demand curve with linear functions, because they're simpler. And when we look at bigger markets, the demand and supply curve often look smooth, because the steps in the curves become so tiny relative to the rest of the curves that you cannot see them. But there isn't anything wrong with supply and demand curves that are non-linear, and often in real life they aren't. But remember the law of supply and the law of demand. When we look at the supply and demand diagram, we can observe the interactions between the supply and demand at each price level simultaneously. This relationship is important in order to understand market stability and how we move into equilibrium. Let's first consider what happens if the price for apples in a large market is set to $8 per apple. At this high price, the quantity demanded is significantly lower than the quantity supplied. Let's say that the quantity demanded is 2,000 and the quantity supplied is 8,000. This imbalance results in a surplus of 6,000 unsold apples. Producers, in response to this surplus, will lower their prices to incentivize more purchases. As the price decreases, the quantity demand rises and the quantity supplied falls, moving the market towards equilibrium. In market equilibrium, quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. It is the optimal price and quantity level where producers can sell all their goods and consumers can buy as much as they want at that price level. In market equilibrium, the market is stable and there is no incentive for changing price or quantity for either the producers or the consumers. Now consider a scenario where the price is too low, say $2 per apple. At this price, the quantity supplied is 2,000 and the quantity demanded is 8,000. In this case, the market experiences a shortage. The quantity demanded exceeds the quantity supplied by 6,000 apples. This shortage puts upward pressure on the price as consumers compete to purchase the limited supply. As prices rise, the quantity supplied increases and the quantity demanded decreases, again moving the market back to the equilibrium point. So far, we have examined how price affects quantity demanded and supplied. However, external factors can also impact demand and supply independently of price, causing shifts in the demand or supply curve. A shift in demand curve means that for each price, the quantity demanded has changed due to an external factor. For example, imagine that a new study gets released, revealing that eating apples has significant health benefits. More consumers will want to buy apples at every price, shifting the demand curve to the right, indicating an increase in demand at each price level. On the other hand, if the study reveals that oranges are more healthy than apples, we might see a decrease in the demand of apples at each price level, meaning a leftward shift in the demand curve. A shift in the supply curve means that at each price level, the quantity supplied has changed due to an external factor. For example, imagine a situation where a new farming technology makes apple production much more efficient. Producers can now supply more apples at every price point, shifting the supply curve to the right. This shift indicates an increase in supply. On the other hand, if a natural disaster damages apple orchards, producers will be able to supply fewer apples at each price level, shifting the supply curve to the left, which indicates a decrease in supply. When either the supply or demand curve shifts, the equilibrium price and quantity also change. For example, if the demand curve shifts to the right due to an increase in popularity, the new equilibrium will be at a higher price and higher quantity. If the supply curve shifts to the right due to an increased production efficiency, the new equilibrium will be at a lower price and higher quantity. Thank you for watching. I hope this video helped you better understand the fundamentals of supply, demand, and the market equilibrium. If you found this content helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos on economics and related topics. If you have further questions, leave it in the comment section below and I'll answer as quickly as possible.